Dude, I don't know what it is about Todd's, but I've only had two people that have had a part one and a part two, and they're both named Todd.
And I think they stopped naming people Todd 50 years ago. So
Really?
That's what I heard. So I don't know, but hey, it's what it is.
Welcome back to Can't Shovel Hurricanes, and this is something that we have to start off on. Is like your 95-year-old grandmother went skydiving.
Not my grandmother, my mother.
Your mother.
My mother. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So for my 50th, I had always wanted to go. So they got it for me. My two daughters came down that day.
You voluntarily want to do this, yeah?
Voluntarily. Yeah. Always. People always say, why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Mm-hmm.
But,
I hate being in them. I'm scared.
I'm all about yes. I say yes to everything. That's kind of my MO. Unless it's, hurting someone or doing something, terrible. I'm game. Let's go do it. So, and even if I'm scared to do it, that's like, let's punch through the wall and get over with. So it was, a little scary, getting in the plane. I was, down in Miami and, they put me right next to the edge. So halfway up, they put the door up. I'm just like dangling, looking over. You're 10,000 feet up.
Can you chicken out?
You can, but you're tied to a guy, so you're doing a tandem. So you're sitting in his lap, and the good part was he's gone 7,000 times, so I'm feeling a little bit more comfort level. I get up there, and it's like my time, and I'm just like, hey, I'm putting all my faith in this guy, and pushed off, and let's go. So for about 30 seconds, you're free falling. There's no like on your roller coaster, there's no queasiness because you're just flying, you're just, free falling. And in about 30 seconds, they pull the chute and everything goes silent. So you don't hear anything. It's like very, very quiet up there. And it's just a peaceful, floating down. And about halfway down, he says, do you get queasy? And I said, no, I don't. Let's go. And so he pulls the string, and pretty soon that's where the queasiness comes, because now you're like on a roller coaster and you're going back and forth. So, yeah. So, and then you come down to the landing, and it's like you put your legs out like you're, sliding into a base or whatever, and you land, and you're just like, thank God I made it, But the experience was amazing. So when we went, my two daughters were with me, and they immediately wanted to go get on and do it themselves, and I said, no, you gotta. I'll get it for your birthday. And they both went. We went back after they went. They loved it. They enjoyed it. We were sitting around Christmas, and my mother heard the stories, and she said, I want to go. And we're all kind of laughing. She was about 89 at the time. And she said, she calls me up like a month later. She says, listen, Todd, I'm really serious. I want to go. I'm like, my brothers and sisters would kill me if something ever happened to her. But she was persistent. I got it for her birthday. The following year, she decided to go. And sure enough, she went up, jumps out of the plane. So I take the video and I send it to all the TV stations in Connecticut. So she goes, the next couple hours later, she's like, Todd, what did you do? She said, I've got 3 stations, ABC, NBC, and CBS interviews this afternoon. What the heck did you do? So, she knows what was going on, but they interviewed her and she was like, exclusive, grandma jumps out of a plane. She's in the local newspaper. It was just a great thing. And this is from someone that was not a big risk taker, great mom, did all the motherly things and full fashion, just great being mother. But this was just so out of her character. And she just kind of said, when am I ever going to have time to do this again?
I love hearing that, man. It also makes me realize how much of a chicken I really am.
I was telling her, I go, I've got 6'4" guys on my team, on my hockey team that won't go out.
No.
And they'll do it. And she does it. So.
Wow, dude, I don't know. Your mom's my hero because I'm so terrified with that stuff. I don't even like flying.
Yeah.
I have to get somewhat medicated. If I'm not with my kids, then, I'm sleeping through whatever I have to.
Sure.
Not a big fan.
Sure.
You and I touched on so much, and we had to have a part 2 because I don't even know if we scratched the surface of some of the things that you have done and are doing.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned something about business for hockey players or some sort of group.
Yeah. So, one of the things, and I'm going to bring it back to my mother, she's always been one. She had a large family. She had 8 brothers and sisters. I had 30, 40 cousins growing up. I always tell people it's kind of like that Four Weddings and a Funeral, that movie, because unfortunately every summer there'd be a cousin getting married and unfortunately someone would pass away. So at a very early age, I kind of grew up very quickly knowing what life and death was, and, learning from I had 4 grandparents live with my parents at the end of their lives. So I got a lot of insight of what the end game was. And I think that's what kind of, me growing up, seeing like what was important to them towards the end of their life.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What did you learn from that early on?
Sure. So I think most of it was all about family. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about, so much the rat race, the ego, the recognition. It was, at the end of the day, the memories that they had with the friends and family that they had, was really the successful part of their lives. And granted, they weren't very successful, but they came from the old school. They were born in the turn of the century, so they've been through the Depression. They've lived through all of those different things. A lot different than what it is today. I think we've got a lot easier today. From we all complain about what's going on, but what they've been through is astronomical. So. Just learning from all of them. My mother had all 4 of them living in our house. That's just the kind of person she was.
What a message! What a lesson that is to teach your kids to go and take care of their elders and return to them what they've done. Wow, that's something that I think is gone by this generation. That's incredible.
Absolutely. There was another little lesson that she taught me. Growing up, I had wealthy friends, family. We lived in a nice town in Cheshire, Connecticut. It's kind of the bedroom community in New Haven. And, I'd be like, hey, Mom, why don't we have a Mercedes? And she was like, I could buy you 10 Mercedes, but I'd rather spend the money on you. Like, back then it didn't make sense. But growing up, it's like, it was more important about her kids and everything than having the status and all this stuff. So anyways, bringing it back, Hockey Players in Business is a company or a nonprofit. It's out of Ohio. A gentleman started it. And it's really about networking with other hockey players. We all play hockey at like men's leagues now these days. We're all playing together. We all know each other. It's a tight-knit community. And the premise of this is, hey, why don't we do business together? Because we all kind of know, whether you're good or not, it gets around pretty quickly on, how good your services is, what you can do. And so I started the South Florida chapter. I was elected the president. And we have probably right now we've only had a couple events this year. COVID kind of knocked us down a little bit, but I'm getting the membership back up. But we'll go to like a Drive Shack or a Top Golf. Every Thanksgiving I'll do a Thanksgiving skate from 8 to 10 in the morning. Gets 35, 40 people. Bring them donuts, beers afterwards, and it's a good way for the community to not only just play hockey together, but share business things. And I know for a fact that there's been a lot of business and network that's going on. Guys that are in the service business, home services, they're, taking care of your pools, doing your roofing, doing your marble, and the financial or attorneys. It's a lot of referrals going back and forth. Sure. So it's a great organization. It's
amazing. People don't realize how many people actually from hockey world end up here. And I found it just incredible when I got down here because you couldn't walk the streets in Toronto as a retired hockey player, especially if you played for the Leafs.
Sure.
You can't go into a restaurant, right?
Sure.
I mean, in the end, everybody's a person and they want them privacy and stuff like that. So it's really tough. Some people relish it. Some people are there all the time. But it's tough. Whereas in Florida, I don't know if it's good or bad, hockey's like still very much doesn't even crack the top 10.
Sure.
Right? If you had to say it.
Sure.
But it has an abundance of riches, great people when it comes to hockey. You see great coaches. You see new rinks popping up. So it's a really cool place. And I'm sure there's a lot more here than people actually realize.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So you run that. Did I hear this right? You're going to be in a movie?
Yeah. So about 6-7 years ago, a guy that I play against, he called me up and he said, hey, they're filming this hockey commercial down at BB&T for Zurich Insurance. They need 5 or 6 guys. Do you want to come down? So my buddies, Joelzy, Stevie, Mike Naga, a bunch of guys, and Jimmy Boucher, we all went down there, and they filmed it. It was like $1 million commercial, which was I've never been in one. I never saw the back, how it's done and everything. So it was really cool, and it was. we were kind of me and my buddy Jolsey, we got picked out of this to be like, it's from a Switzerland company. So we had these blonde wigs on. We got picked out of the group to wear these blonde wigs. It's really funny. And they filmed the commercial, and that ran. And I kind of got into this casting group that was doing it. And pretty soon, every year or so, I'd get a project or two. So I've been in 5 or 6 commercials that are like you blink and no one sees you. But it's just a background type of thing. But so about a year and a half ago, I got a call. They said, "Hey, do you want to be in a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor for Roadhouse?" And I'm like, let me think about it. Yeah. So the movie Roadhouse, they just remade it. It took about a year to film. They flew me down to Dominican Republic. There's a fight scene in there. It's kind of the second scene of the movie. I don't want to give away the movie, but for the most part, Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. There's, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I act across from Post Malone. So Post Malone is in the movie. It's a cameo. No one knows it yet, but they know him now.
Yeah, you're plugging the movie, dude.
Plugging the movie.
When is it supposed to come out?
Well, they're having a little turmoil right now. They tried to get it to go in a theatrical version. They had it screened on Jeff Bezos' yacht to try to get it, and he said, "No, we're going to go to Prime." So there's a little inroad fighting. So I think it's coming out in the first quarter next year. So out of the 300 people that were there, I got picked to be the guy that got beat up by Post Malone. So I've got a face that looks like I got hit by a truck and makeup. And for 8 hours and on one day and 8 hours the next day, I had to sit there and yell and scream at Post Malone because, and I say like, "Fuck you," and screaming at him. And he totally changed my mind about who he was. I mean, no offense to him. He looks like a prison thug. He looks like he killed people. He's got the teardrops. His face is all up. And one of the sweetest guys I've ever met.
He's a creative man. That's how he shows his creativity. That's how he does his jam, right? That's his part of his outlook.
Yeah, yeah. He came over as apologizing to me for saying "fuck you" to me, and I'm like, "It's a movie." I'm like, "I don't care." And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry. I don't mean that."
That's really interesting.
I'm like, "So really nice guy." So long story short, I'm in that. It's coming out the first quarter next year. And
did you meet McGregor? Did you meet Gyllenhaal?
McGregor wasn't there. I did meet Gyllenhaal. So Gyllenhaal's in the scene, and I think I don't know how much time I'm going to get, but I'm leaning over the octagon. It's a bare knuckle fight. Post Malone is fighting another guy. I was supposed to be the guy he just beat up, and then Gyllenhaal walks in, and I won't get the rest of the movie. But
all right. Yeah, I'm definitely watching it. You guys shoot me a text when that's going on. I can't wait to see it.
I'm probably going to get this 3-second shot, but hey.
Yeah, but think how many people can say that they did that? You're minimizing something that is so special, and you don't know what. You never knew that commercial would lead to that. Who knows next? Maybe I'm sitting next to the next Hollywood's 8 list, right there. A couple of years, that's what I'll be saying.
I don't know
had him
about
on the podcast. You never know.
You're right.
You never know.
You're right.
That's pretty fucking cool, man.
Appreciate it.
Dude. So you've got the app that we talked about. Can you remind everyone the name of the app?
Sure. It's called the Photo Op.
And you've got something coming up with it right now, right? You have to.
A week from today, I'm presenting in Boston in front of 150 investors, probably 1,000 attendees.
Is it for a raise? Are you guys looking for a raise?
It's for a raise. Looking for exposure, strategy, people with strategic relationships in the broadcasting and media world. That's what will help us grow. So I'm preparing all this week for that presentation, and I haven't done that in a while. So it's going to be. I might have a couple of cocktails before, and we'll see.
Really? That's so scary.
I got to get the nerves off a little bit.
That can go another way. You don't
I said a couple, not like
You don't look to me like you're scared of public speaking. I think that in of itself, going to the generation of kids that are coming up because they're so used to this screens and technology, you can say whatever you want behind this.
Sure.
There's no accountability. But to those that can communicate properly, to those that can look somebody in the eye, read body language, tone, that can present their ideas, they have a huge competitive advantage over everybody else who's coming out. Some people are just not made for it and are brilliant in their own way.
Sure.
But I think it's a huge competitive advantage to be able to communicate in a public setting in front of people. Because I mean, I'm going to butcher this, but I know it's up there that public speaking is up there with like some of the biggest fears that humans carry with them, like jumping out of a plane is something I wouldn't do. I'm afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. I'm claustrophobic, but public speaking is not one of them.
Yeah.
Right. It also depends if you're a subject matter expert and you know what you're talking about.
Makes it easier.
Yeah. I mean, it makes things a whole lot easier. Mm-hmm. All right. So you got all this shit going on. How do you keep up?
It's in my makeup. I guess I'm used to doing a lot of things, and I was one of those guys in school that could just show up and do well. I mean, BC,
Sports or education?
both. So it
Did you
wasn't.
play any other sports but hockey?
It was all hockey. I played a little bit of baseball in prep school. You had to play 3 sports. I had to pick one. I played baseball. I did okay. I could hit the ball, but it wasn't my passion. So hockey was 24/7. I've played it for 52 years. I'm playing my 4th game in a row tonight. I'm in 4 leagues right now, so I still play it. I love the game.
I have a buddy. His name is Elad.
Yes,
That
Nomo.
he's
in
junkie.
Hockey Players in Business. Yeah,
He's a junkie. I'm like, how do you do this?
yeah.
The other day he showed me he had a splint on his finger.
And he's still
And
playing.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to play. You got to be kidding. Your wife must hate you.
if it's not falling off or broken, let's go.
But he says to me, it's my place of zen, right? It's that's how I feel right now when I watch my son play.
Guys going to a gym, if that's your place, whatever it is.
You got to do something. You mentioned in the last podcast, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? If as you get older, it's harder to restart. But there's something like that you have to do for your own peace of mind and sanity. I think that this is the biggest drug that we are now all mainlining. And for that hour, you're not on this phone.
Right.
And there's just that alone, I think, is cathartic.
Sure. And I'm one of those guys on the phone. So it's good and bad. I'm not on there playing games, although a couple times, it gives you a little bit of escape. But for the most part, it's business. So you can, what used to be your laptop, this is my laptop now. So I can run multiple things. I've got 6 different email addresses. I've got all kinds of things in order to separate it and compartmentalize everything so that you can do multiple things, all at once.
So are you active on social media?
I was more so. I think I've slowed down a little bit, but it's kind of like if something happens that's kind of interesting, I'll throw it out there. But I'm not like scrolling away, reading everybody. But I've been on there. Some people used to call me Mr. Facebook.
Oh, really?
But not so much anymore. I'm too much business right now.
I used to be a Facebook junkie. Now I don't even think I touch it. It's Instagram overwhelmingly.
It's Instagram. Yep.
But I mean, there's so many tools out there that I don't even know how to use. Like LinkedIn, for example, you mentioned is something that you use often.
Yeah. So LinkedIn came about, and I'll step back. There was when I transitioned from the financial investment world, I got into the marketing world, and so I got involved with a company here in Boca, and I learned so much in Silicon Valley in regards to the internet, how to set up websites, how to set up lead gen websites, that when I got to this job as a data business, I ended up, they teach you how to be a salesperson anywhere you go, but I'm always the think outside the box. How do I build my business? How do I make it more efficient? How do I grow it? I created a website at the time we were going after mortgage brokers that were going after what they call trigger leads. And I set this up where every Friday, the trigger list, the amount of trigger lists by state would come out. And a trigger list is basically if you applied for a mortgage in Boca, the credit bureaus basically sell your name to all the mortgage companies and the banks in the country. People don't know that, but that's what they do. And so what the banks will do is say, okay, I want to know all the people that have a 750 score that live in Boca that have 2 kids and have 3 parents or not 2 parents and 3 kids or whatever the number is. And that's their target audience. We had the data. We would sell that to the mortgage company. They're the ones that send you all the mail pieces. But their targeted audience is you're their ideal person. They know how to reach you. In that process, I learned what data meant. And I'll touch upon this later, but it became if data was king, you first had to find out who your target audience was in order to mail to them. Then you had the mail piece. So you had to come up with what the creative was and what the offer is. So the offer is usually like an interest rate that not many people can attain. The offer would be something like, get your 30-year mortgage for this rate, blah, blah, blah. So that created this, and my whole process in the last 20 years, I came up with a book that I'm going to write. It's called Analyze, Strategize, Execute, Repeat. Analyze the data, analyze who you're going after, strategize, put the creative again. How are you going to get those people? Execute the campaign, go back and repeat the process. I'm going to now analyze everything I did on that campaign, what worked, what didn't work, adjust the data, adjust the creative, and then go from there. that kind of thing that I've created over the last 15, 20 years for my own mindset works in hockey. It works in business. It works across, I won't get into this, women.
Does it?
Women.
Oh.
Well, I have a beautiful girlfriend right now. And prior to that and after getting divorced, you walk into a bar, you analyze it. Who's the person that you want to meet the most? You strategize on what you're going to say to her. You go over there and you execute. It doesn't work. That's fine. But what'd you learn? You learn something so that the next time you go around and try to meet someone or whatever, you repeat the process, and then pretty soon you start to come up with this thing that kind of works. So,
I'm not taking any notes. I'm punching well above my weight.
Happily married.
I'm happily married and punching well above my weight.
But you asked on how it with women, but same thing with business, same thing with hockey. It's all about analyze, strategize, execute, repeat. I use that religiously throughout everything I do. I didn't get back to LinkedIn. But getting back to LinkedIn, creating this lead gen system for myself, the company came to me and said, we want to offer this to the whole group. And I've done that with 5 or 6 different companies. And that process also worked on LinkedIn, which was if you get on Fiverr, there's plenty of people on there that you know what Fiverr is?
Yeah, I used it. I mean, infrequently, but I have used it a couple of dozen times.
There's Fiverr. There's a few other ones. You're basically getting consultants for pennies on the dollar.
It's not so cheap anymore, but it used to be.
Yeah. But in overall, I hate to say, you're not using American workers, but you can in certain instances. It's everybody. But if I can get something done on my budget, create a video, create a landing page, create whatever it is, they're very good at it. So my thing to people that might be listening is, if you don't know how to do some of these things to generate leads and grow your business, that's a great place to start. You still need the formula on how to do it, but for the most part, there's a lot of people on there that you can hire that can create you landing pages, lead gen pages, edit your videos for social media, all kinds of things. That's a huge wealth of things that I tapped into. One of the things that I did for LinkedIn to grow my business, I was at Cathay Island at the time, got a guy in Bangladesh. He logs in on LinkedIn as myself overnight. You're allowed to send, I think, 80, it used to be 200 a night, invitations to people in my target audience. So I would say, when I was with Cathay Ireland, I want CEOs across the country. I want to know, in certain industries, this is who I'm going after. This is my pitch. I work with Cathay Ireland. I'm looking to grow my, if you're looking to grow your company or you want to, get your distribution, whatever the pitch was. And this guy would send it out. And every morning I'd have 5 or 10 people that connected with me, another 5 or 10 that were say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. And that's what exploded my LinkedIn from a few thousand to 17,000. It could be 30,000, but I don't need that particular thing right now in that networking. So I'm not pushing it right now. And through that whole process, LinkedIn came back and said, wow, you're really knowing how to use our system. They made me an official LinkedIn advisor. So every month they send me, probably once or twice a month, they want my feedback on what people would respond to in their messaging. So if they're going to start a new LinkedIn program, how to generate leads, they have like 5 different headlines, 5 different ways to name it. And they're asking I'm one of probably 100 or 1,000 people. But they're basically doing a what is it called? Focus group
right.
on, what we should use. And so I've been working on that for like 3 or 4 years. So that's what I'm doing with LinkedIn.
Dude, you just brought up a bunch of things that I didn't think were in your wheelhouse that I'll definitely have to speak to you about offline, because LinkedIn is one of those tools that I know is very targeted, professional, and it has a higher quality of leads when you get them. Mm-hmm. Versus Facebook leads, which are cheap and you can get many depending which business you're on. But if you don't have a good follow-up strategy, if you don't have a top funnel, bottom of funnel approach where you know what you're doing, it's wasted money.
Yep.
And most of those leads are just people looking for free information. That's as far as that's willing to go.
Sure.
But you can get many of them. So if you're looking to fill a database with names and numbers, it's probably the place to go. But if you're looking to generate business, I don't know enough about LinkedIn. But I think it's something I don't use nearly enough.
It's real B2B focused, and no offense to LinkedIn, but the advertising is astronomical. So trying to go that route is
within LinkedIn.
Within LinkedIn. So if you're trying to do ads on LinkedIn, it's pretty expensive. So these are techniques of you sign up for their sales navigator. It gives you a lot more access to people's information that you can contact. They want the $99 a month, and then they open up the coffers for you. But there's plenty of people out there that have done like the screen scraping, the gathering information. I can get 1,000 emails tomorrow of every CEO, in South Florida, that you can start to contact and use different things. So there's different methods to use LinkedIn, especially for B2B that are not necessarily using the advertising route and things like that. So,
well, I have so much to pick your brain about.
Yeah, no problem.
I didn't even realize. Is that something like you do? Do you provide consulting information, like services and stuff like that? I don't know when, but
yeah. It's usually on a case by case basis. Since I've been raising money for different companies for 30 something years, they'll hire me as a consultant to do something. They'll offer me equity. I'm always I'm like, give me 6 months. I don't want to discuss the equity today. Let me show you what I can do for you, and in 6 months, you make me an offer or whatever. That's pretty much how I work. On a consultant basis, happy to take on and help grow companies. I do it all day long. From, the most recent one, we were doing some social media for a pizza joint. Great pizza. Portnoy came down. Beats. I'll give him a plug here in Del Rey.
He did come down.
Yeah, Portnoy came down, gave him an 8.4. These are New Haven guys. That's my neck of the woods. That's where I grew up. That's where I in and around that area. And they make great pizza. So, but working with them, in 2.5 months, we doubled their following on Instagram. My girlfriend, who's
is that who you work with your girl?
Yeah, I work with my girl. She's, I'll give her a little plug. She's former Miss World Finland in 2014.
Oh boy, you are punching above your weight, boy. You got a strategy. That or do the same thing I did, Roofalin.
Analyze, strategize, execute, repeat. She's the love of my life, my soulmate. Fantastic with her. I'm moving in with her now, so it's going to the next level. But she runs social media for a large company in Finland, and on the side, her and I are putting together different social media.
I got to have her on the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. She's fantastic. Yeah, she's so humble. I'm very, very lucky guy.
I think good relationships generally start off when one person feels like the other one's too good for them. And I'm not saying that they are. You want to feel like you're constantly chasing that. Listen, you've been married before. You've been married for a long time, and I mean, it's brave of you to. I mean, everybody wants to be with somebody, but moving in and that's like a quasi marriage minus the big party and the certificate.
I have no problem doing that. She's got a beautiful daughter. I've raised 2 daughters. Other people might say, she. I love when she's from Finland, so she messes up words. She'll say like, "Yeah, my daughter, she's got luggage. She's my luggage." I'm like, "No, you mean baggage." And, so she has all these little sayings that we just crack up about. She's so genuine. I love her to death. So.
Listen to me. Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Do you want to coach? Do you want to coach hockey?
If I
would you? I mean, with all that, like with all the stuff that you're doing again, but you obviously have like a passion for it. Would you ever coach hockey again, youth hockey?
So her and I have had the conversation about having more kids, and I'm a little older and she's a little younger. I think
biggest blessing that exists.
I think if we had a child, a boy or girl, I would probably get back into coaching.
Sure.
I just don't have the time.
No, you don't have time today.
I don't have time.
Yeah, having a kid will free up all that time. Yeah, you know this, right? All of a sudden,
but it's not off the table. So
wow.
Down the road, I enjoy it, but not today.
Dude, I'm now trying to think of all the time that you don't have and having a kid, but it's also, it's what you prioritize in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And having a kid, having, happy, healthy kids is the best blessing in the world. I thought when I got married, I became a man. You say certain stages in your life, you become a man.
Yep.
Until you have kids.
Yeah.
You don't become a man.
Yeah.
At least that's in my perspective, because when you have to care for somebody else for the rest of their lives,
mm-hmm.
the responsibilities are totally different. Yeah. Holy fuck, do you mature and age fast?
Yeah.
Right. And each generation tries to learn from the other one, but each generation has its own challenges. Like you said that, we have it much easier than our parents did.
Yeah.
Right. And they had it easier than their grandparents did, and so on and so forth. Like,
mm-hmm.
life we're working towards a softer generation, which is some way I feel kind of backfiring on us some way.
Sure.
But we have challenges like technology, screens, that we're not ready, nor are we equipped to handle.
Sure.
Because I've seen it 100 times over at this point. you give a screen to a child and you lost them.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And taking that away from them, there's like an actual struggle. Like they'll fight for it. The same reaction that a drug addict would if you automatically took them off. Right. And it is terrifying. And I don't know how to do it. And I mean, right now, the way we're figuring it out is we're just over programming.
Yeah.
And we're getting them to do everything else. TV's not watched in our house during the week.
Sure.
During the weekend, too much TV, but that's where it stays.
Right.
Right. I don't know how to parent through this. I've talked to a lot of parents. Everybody eventually gives in. Right. I'm still worried about when my first kid comes back and someone in their class is going to have a phone. Like, oh shit. What do I do now?
Right.
I do know one guy vis-a-vis the hockey world. I won't mention his name just for his own privacy, but I think he is like a 15-year-old daughter that still doesn't have a phone. How'd you do that?
Yeah. Wow. That's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's got to be a constant challenge for her.
She's got a burner phone in her backpack. No,
Probably.
I'm just kidding.
No. I mean, she's somewhere. She sees it.
That's great,
though.
No, that's great.
But when she gets, I want to say a little bit older, when she becomes like, her own parent and she starts to parent, I think she will appreciate that alone.
Sure.
Because it's terrifying to me, man. The amount of information, how people can bully one another.
Sure.
Especially with females, where people can just say all kinds of things. I mean, you have 2 daughters.
Yep.
How'd you deal with the first time that some boy knocked on your door and wants to take your daughter out?
Knock on wood. There's not many things that make me tear up, but it's my daughters. Whew, I'm already starting. They're the best.
I was at my daughter's dance recital. I had to hold back tears the whole time.
Waterworks. Yeah. They're,
the guys, the fathers and the daughters, all bets are off.
Yeah. I used to tell someone that, having them too is like Christmas every morning. So for me, I get up, I got a present right there every day.
What a great outlook.
Yeah. So, again, knock on wood, they were saints. Their mother was a principal at an elementary school. Great mom, taught them well, as did I. But we got lucky. I hear the horror stories of getting, I think, there's a lot of things you learn the long way. They used to say you're the sum of the 5 friends that you're friends with, right?
I say that all the time.
Yeah. So the average of your friends. So they always made great decisions. I think we spent a lot of time with them doing all kinds of activities, a lot of very family oriented. It wasn't always like, hey, I'm going out to a party or something. And they just didn't get caught up in that. So very focused on whether the little one, Sierra, was in dance, the older one was in softball and basketball. They were occupied. They were doing things. I don't think even though the phone was around, it wasn't as big, 15 years ago. Now it's like all there is. I watch some of my, not some necessarily nieces, but other kids, 4 years old, they got an iPad. It's already starting. 3 or 4 years old.
Negative in my house.
Yeah. So it's it is different every 10 years. It seems like technology, it just goes even much further than it was, 80 years ago.
What's it going to be 20 years from now? What's it going to be when your daughters have kids?
We're going to between AI and
so what are your thoughts about AI? I ask people all the time.
Sure.
I am terrified.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I mean, the only thing that's probably going to beat the bad AI is good AI. So we better come up with something that has the power to combat if somebody starts to use it on the other side of the world in the wrong way. I just saw today they're rolling off a factory to start humanoids. So these cyber, robots or whatever, I just saw the factory that they're building. I don't know if it's in China or somewhere over there, but
to create humans with AI?
No, humanoids, they're calling it. So it's basically a robot with AI in it.
So the Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much without a conscious.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I like or hate him, Elon. I like Elon Musk. I kind of listen to things that he says, and it's a slippery slope. I can see where it could go really bad really quickly, especially with, our partners, not partners, our nut jobs on the other side of the world that could certainly use this in
nefarious ways.
Yeah.
And the thing that we're talking about is like, it's our understanding of what we know of AI. But guys like Elon Musk and the owners of Sergey Brin and Larry Page and these Mark Zuckerberg, that's the world we know, right? In North America, China and
You don't know
the Middle East has,
Yep.
so much riches and building some cool things. What we understand as AI is what they knew of AI like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And so it's probably so much more advanced. And when they're scared of stuff like that, we should all be petrified. And we're leaving, a huge segment of this to people that understand it even less.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And when, like you mentioned, Alon, when he said we should be scared, that's when my ears perk up, because I think the guy's a genius.
Genius.
I do think he has, the best interest of, at least Americans, if not the whole globe, of doing things the right way. I'm sure he's done crazy things or whatever, but I just think he has a pretty good handle on it. In regards to AI, though, I've started to use it, and it's
In what way?
It's amazing.
Chat GPT.
Bing is
I haven't used that one.
Bing uses ChatGPT-4. ChatGPT wants to charge you for the point.
Right, it's 3.5 now for free.
Yeah, so the 3 or 3.5 is they loaded up all the information up till 2021. So it doesn't go into, I think ChatGPT-4, if I said, go analyze Ronen's website,
right,
come back to me and give me a summation of everything that's on there, you got to pay for that at ChatGPT-4. So Bard, which is Bard.Google, that's Google's.
That one is really good.
Yeah, and Bing, the two of those, you can do full websites. You can upload a presentation, say make it better. There's just a lot of things in there. If I want to say, when I'm doing my presentation, what's the average cost for running a digital ad? And it spits out with the references, where it got it from, and it's just an easy, quick way of saving you hours of going to do that research.
So that's my thing. I think we are going. I think that AI is going to be like a renaissance. It's actually what is going to beat inflation versus monetary policy and fiscal policy. I think you're going to see things that are going to eliminate some of the labor that is really, really expensive and specialized. So we will hail this as the greatest thing on earth, and we become so dependent that we will outsource our thinking to make our life easier, to free up our most valuable asset, which is time. And then we will become so addicted to everything that AI does, because you see like fragmented things that AI is doing. Anything you can think of today at this point, AI, or there's a tool for you to use it.
Sure.
Still, it's in its infancy, but it is out there.
Yeah.
I'm invested in a whole bunch of AI stock that is hugely volatile. So what I've done is, like, I'm not trying to pick winners. I've took
the whole group.
Yeah, and I just bought a whole bunch of them and just left it.
Yep.
Right. I've been sitting on it, and it's done, like, it is volatile.
Yeah.
Right. Because there will be a consolidation of all of these businesses, and they're so nuanced, from like AI that reads your voice and what the applications that can do, AI that can actually teach you whatever it is that you want to learn. And like I've made mock podcasts, my team as well, of my own voice. It is scariest fucking thing you've ever seen.
Wow.
I played it to my wife and I said, "What do you think?"
Which one's me or whatever? Yeah.
Because of she knows me so well, my mannerisms, my demeanor, my tone and connotation, which still hasn't picked up on. She's like,
almost
sounds like you, but it's not you.
Yeah.
But to somebody who doesn't know,
yeah, they would know.
right?
Yeah.
And all you got to do is you got to read a bunch of passages. It reads your name, but once it's out there, it's out there. Just like our Face ID, all that stuff. It's out there, and it's out there for good.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
I'm so, we have pictures, my wife posts of our kids and on social media and stuff like that. And I'm like, shit's got to get scaled back.
Yeah.
I don't know who's looking.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's watching. And I'm not scared of a world that is advancing. I'm scared of how stupid I am when it comes to actually what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the unknown, fear of the unknown, that we don't know where it's going.
And that's the thing that you can't, like, when your kids are playing sports, they're not thinking about that. They're doing what they need to do and move their bodies. When your kids are in a group setting, sports specifically teaches you so many skills from being with teammates and being a part of a community and all that sort of stuff. That's where I think, like, you see this massive surge of both costs and parents putting their kids out in various sports until they pick one.
Sure.
Right. So, like, I'd like to take some parenting advice from you about what it's like raising two daughters. I got two daughters myself, and I know that I am already, like, behind them of how intellectually, emotionally, their emotional IQ is far superior to mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Girls are totally different.
Yeah. I guess a couple thoughts are, I think what we're seeing from my mother's generation and her parents' generation to our generation is kids are becoming smarter sooner, where they know things more than their parents about certain things. I'm not talking about the raising them a certain way. I'm talking about like the technology and how to use the internet and all of these different things. It's different because back in my parents and their day, it was, I taught you how to change your oil. I taught you how to, build a house, whatever it was. And it was like, they never knew that. But now with these phones and everything that's going on the internet, kids are like, am I going to go to college when I can go do a podcast or, make money this way? So there's
influencer.
Like an influencer, there's 1,000 different ways, and all day long they're scrolling and there's 1,000 influencers on there that are showing them, here's the easy way to make a buck. And it's changing the kids' outlook of, I can go do this instead of the old sit in the 9 to 5 in a cubicle. So I'm torn between, I love the best parts about the technology and what it can do, because I'm tired. I was tired of sitting in a cubicle, and the ability to go create and do things that we would all enjoy passionately more so than that part I kind of like about it. The bad parts of what you're talking about, certainly you want to avoid them. You don't want your kids scrolling mindlessly all day long, and all they do is play video games and watch Roblox or play Roblox or whatever they do. So it's we're learning as we go along, I think, to how to combat and how to limit that. I think what you're doing is fantastic. So if you're saying, hey, you don't get this during the week, you limit it, I don't think they're just totally engaged in just scrolling and doing everything. So
your life would make a really interesting biography. We've hit on a bunch of things, and I think we've also just kind of, between being in the movies, the consulting, trying to raise capital, like, what else are you doing?
What else? Those are the things business-wise, hockey-wise that I'm doing. I can talk just a little bit upon, other passions. We talked a little bit about house music.
Tiesto.
Tiesto. I grew up at a very early age. My buddy Berkeley played hockey with me. We ended up going to this underage dance bar, and it sounds crazy, but that's when I got the bug of dance music. And so since '83, I think it was, I think Michael Jackson was out back then. Truth be told, I had a Michael Jackson jacket.
Still have it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's on my wall in a case. No, but that's where I got the.
Who wasn't into Michael Jackson?
Yeah, exactly.
He revolutionized. He created a genre.
Him and Madonna on the other side. That was like the '80s was. I like to say we ruined it for everybody, because we had a free for all that we got to do whatever we wanted, and then pretty soon, unfortunately. I won't even go into it, but it got like
what are we talking about?
AIDS. Things like it was so crazy, and people were having so much fun that it was kind of like somebody slapping us down and saying, "Slow down."
I just had a conversation about Larry Flint the other day, and you just brought that up, and I was too young to understand that. I actually remember throwing my parents off and asking, "What's AIDS?" I was a really young kid.
Yeah.
And they were like, the old school generation. Like, fuck, don't they teach you that at school?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Yeah. So it was a crazy time. But the dance music stayed with me forever. And I've been to, people have heard of it, Ultra. I've been there 16 times. I can't get enough. I'm like the old guy there, but I don't give a shit. I love the music. I love hanging out with my friends. And, Tiesto, I've seen.
You know who's actually ever the only old guy there? The creeper who's hitting on younger chicks.
That's not me.
Right? The one who's hitting on younger women that just want to be left alone and they're beautiful and they want to dance and they don't want to feel. That's the old guy. That's the guy who's enjoying the music and he's there with his buddies and he's having a good time and they're all like, you're not supposed to stop loving something because you get to a certain age or, you're also not partying 24 hours like some of these guys or gals are going, right? Like the old guy is the one who's being creepy.
Yeah.
He's the one that I'm afraid of around kids.
It's usually not in that scene. I mean, it's what I love about that scene. It's all positive. You know, I had my rap days, but it's a little bit too.
That's me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate more of the Snoop Dogg years than I do today, but that's all good. But you never going to Ultra, you never see fights,
Right.
you never see guns, you never see any of these things that's going on because it's all about peace and love and happiness, and it's that's what I love about the community. So I'm always going to follow it. I have a good Tiesto story. So I told both my daughters that I would, when they graduated, I'd take them to Ultra. So the first one came, Taylor. I took her to Ultra. We had a great time. The second one graduated 3 or 4 years later, Sierra. And so I buy these tickets online from some guy from South Carolina, and he rips me off for $600. So I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I tweeted Tiesto. I said, Tiesto, I've been coming to see you for 12, 13 years.
No.
And here it comes. I've been coming to see you for 12 or 13 years. I know this is a long shot, but if there's anything you can do, I'd be forever in your debt. Well, next day I get an email from his tour manager. He says, listen, Todd, we read your post. You've got 2 tickets for you and your girl, Will Call, waiting for you to come see the show tomorrow.
What?
And I was like, this guy is so amazing to, give a shit about me and my daughter that I was just like so moved by the guy. I saw him last Friday at Live with a bunch of buddies of mine. I think I'm going to see him this Friday at Dare. But my daughter's like, Daddy, I'm like the most popular girl at school. Tiesto gave me tickets, So I'm like, yeah, one for Dad, So
That's a super cool dad move.
Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, I took a shot at it, and you never know.
No. The fact that you took her.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about I had a weird story. I was very close to my nephews before I got married and had kids, and I got tickets from a scalper to take. I think it was LeBron James' first game in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Against the Raps, and the Raps were a very young team at that time. And I've got this 7-year-old or 8-year-old, and we take it from scalper. We get to the gate, and they're like, they're counterfeit. Oh. And I just spent also, I think, $600. This is going on, a while ago.
Yep.
And I was so visibly devastated, and the little guy was like, we can't go. Usher took us right in, put us right behind the bench, found us seats that he knew weren't. He's like, cool. He goes, don't tell anybody. Coolest move ever. And if karma means anything, I hope that's come back to him.
Oh, absolutely. I love stories like that.
Yeah, I'll never forget it because I was so upset. First, I was pissed off that I got ripped off.
Yeah.
Right. But I also hyped this up so big, and I want to be that cool uncle, and I want to take him. And I don't even know if my nephew Mark, even if you're listening to this, even remembers this. But like, he was so cute, and he stayed up late, and I would have had to take him to TV and tell him that's what basketball looks like. You went to see LeBron.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You're a good dad, man. You're a good guy.
Thanks.
I think that. With all the bullshit and madness that's going on in the world, fear mongering and all this nonsense, I think most people are out to do good and help each other. I think you get a lot more doing good for others than you do just for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a selfish act to be kind because you are rewarded yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have enough of it because the thing I've told people moving down from Toronto is Florida's different.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are a lot more cautious here, within the circle and network. And I've been already a victim of a couple of people that are not so good. Mm-hmm. Wasn't anything major, but still, from an air conditioner to a few other things.
Yeah.
And if you're kind and nice to people here, it either freaks them out or they look at it as weakness. Mm. I don't want to change my character, and I'm by no means soft.
Sure.
But I will give everybody the benefit of the doubt if they say something that they're going to do.
Sure.
Right. And I don't think enough people do that here. And when I ask people why, they're like, it's all the New Yorkers. I'm like, I know a lot of New Yorkers. They're at least tell you in your face. Yeah. They're going to fuck you. They know.
Yeah.
They tell you right up front, like, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is in Florida, but it can be tough. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. I've been here for 20 years. But what I would say is that it's a melting pot down here. I mean, literally, you've got half the world that owns piece property here. And So you've got all different walks of life. I think the community in Boca is different than the community in Jupiter, which is different than Miami. So it's kind of like which enclave and which group, are you going to be a part of? And there's all different things between all of them. So, but there's a lot of transient people, to get to your point.
That's probably it.
Yeah. They've they don't have the roots. They don't have the reputation they have to worry about. So they can fly by the seat of their pants and, try to make a buck and screw somebody, which, I'm zero part of. I want no part of that. My word is my bond, and I'd rather have you judge me on, what I can do for you than how I made a few bucks. I just don't like it. So, but yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of good people down here in network, and it goes back to the hockey community. These are people that
so important.
They're the same people from Connecticut to Canada to around the globe. There's just a certain makeup of you of doing the right thing, and it's about the whole as opposed to just you, and that helps you make a lot of decisions in life that I think maybe other groups just don't get. If you're not part of a group and you don't know how to be a team player and it's all about you, then you do the old survival thing. You do what's what you think is the way to survive, and if that means making a shortcut, then unfortunately I think that's where people go wrong. But
well, I think the transient part you hit on the head, because then there's no accountability, right?
Yeah,
versus, if you're doing business with a guy who you're in the dressing room with and things went wrong, like they got to look at you and say, listen, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Or you just don't do business with that guy, lesson learned. Maybe he's a good hockey player, but that's as far as that goes.
Sure.
Right. But once there's accountability, which there isn't enough of today, because there's so much nasty activity flying online.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. I mean, there's in AI, going back to that, will pose new challenges from identity theft and everything in between.
Sure.
There's tons of bots online now. There's like there seems to be wars fought on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just propaganda and what's real, what's not. TikTok, I hear, is the worst for it. I'm not even on it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least not active. I have the app. I very infrequently. I'm addicted to Instagram enough that I just don't have brain space or time for another one.
My kids tell me I'll send them a video meme or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, that was on TikTok 3 weeks ago." So that's like where everything starts, and then it makes its way over Instagram. But yeah, I'm not. There's different age groups and different things. There's only so many slip and falls and goofy videos that you can watch. But when somebody sends it, I like and appreciate humor. I'll share it with buddies, but it's not like my entire life of doing that. So, but I want to tell you one more story.
Tell me.
This is a good story. I know we're getting towards the end, so I wanted to get it in. So there is one little thing that I'm pretty good at, and that's drinking beers. So I can. So
I was not expecting for you to say that.
So
and how do you define good? Like, what is it? Volume? Is it?
It's all at once. So chugging a beer at once.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably 300 or 1. There might be one guy, but he probably cheated. So I got recruited by Kathy Ireland. And we get pulled into this room, and she's in LA with her group. She's on an iPad, or they're on a video screen. There's 15 or 20 there people. And our side in Boca, there's 15 or 20 people in a room. And I was the last one to go. She said, I'm going to pass this iPad around. I'm going to ask you one question, and you got to answer it. And then at the end of it, she was going to hire, like, out of the 20 people, like 6 or 7 people. So they're going around, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to lay out all my accolades, some of the things I've done, I'm proud of or whatever. And we get all the way around, and the guy before me says, well, he goes, I was in the circus for 15 years. And so everybody's screaming and laughing, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker. So he goes, so I'm like, how am I going to file this? I'm like, well, forget it. I'm going to go for it. So she goes, well, Todd, what is nobody in the room that's not in your resume, and no one in the room knows anything about you? And I was like, well, Kathy, I said, I don't know if this is going to help me or hurt me. I said, but I can down 4 beers in 18 seconds. And she goes, get that man a beer. He's hired. And I have
had to do it?
No, I have a video of myself on YouTube that I do it in 18 seconds.
Oh my God, you got to send that to me.
I'll send it to you. But over the years, I don't know why, I just learned how to do it. Probably enough spring breaks and college parties or whatever, but I can,
I can't touch beer.
Yeah.
Gout.
Oh, okay.
That's how I found out I had gout. It used to be my chocolate cake. I mean, anywhere, fishing, whatever, it's just beer, right? And then one day I have a beer and I tried to step in the morning. I'm like, ow. It's the last beer I ever had.
Last thing. So going back to Bobby Hall. So Bobby Hall lived with my aunt and uncle, spent some time with him. The one thing that he did that I kind of took from him was...
Is he a beer chugger?
It wasn't a beer chugger. I'm sure he had his beers, but it was... he had a list of jokes in a little notepad that he would tell, like when he's out at... we went out to dinner with him, Gordie Howe and him and my family.
No.
We went out to dinner after one of the games.
No.
Yeah, Gordie Howe was playing on the Whalers, and there's a steak joint right next to the Coliseum. The
hockey royalty.
Oh, unbelievable. But I was probably, what was this, 79? I'm 13 years old, not having a clue of who I'm sitting with. I mean, I knew who it was, but not until now how much I would have appreciated that. So, but he was a big flirt. He was, they called him a womanizer back in the day. He passed away, God rest his soul. But he had this little notepad of jokes.
And we're talking about Bobby Hall.
Bobby Hall, yeah. And so I kind of watched him like work the room, work the everything, and over the years I kind of picked that up. And so I probably have 150 jokes that I can rattle off like this. That
give me your best.
What
are you worried about?
I'll keep it clean.
Why?
All right.
Keep it real.
All right. So the family is all upset about Grandpa. We just found out that he's addicted to Viagra, but Grandma's taking it the hardest.
Now, is that the clean one?
That was the clean one. So, I also do kids parties, so so, why is it always hot in the corner? It's always 90 degrees. So
that's a kid one.
So I have a big range, but I'll keep it appropriate. But I love making people laugh. I love bringing people together. It's the enjoyment of my life, family, friends, people I don't know. Life is too short. I love just having a good time. It's never about me. I like people seeing them light up. I like bringing out the best in people, and it's just it's how I live my life.
How can people contact you?
My phone number is 561.
No, you're really doing this? No.
Don't do that.
I'm only telling you for your own privacy.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't know, I don't.
Okay, so
I've had some people do that. I don't suggest it unless it's like a work number or a shadow number.
Okay. Instagram is Tadio 2.0. I started that after I got divorced. LinkedIn is LinkedIn/in/Tadio, Toddeo. Quick story on how I got Tadio. I used to go to the Club Space down in Miami with some friends, and a lot of South American friends that we met down there, and they would all butcher my name. Tadio. And pretty soon they came out with Tadio, and it just kind of stuck for the last 15 years, and that's what everyone calls me.
Everybody in the dressing room has a name.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I used to, when I played, it was Fish.
Yep.
Last name's Fishman.
Yep, there you go.
So it was Fish, right? And my nephew's
They usually add a Y or an E to the end of your name. Or
yeah. So that's that. People don't know that you had a Y to the end, and you're not playing hockey unless you have a nickname or you have an acronym or some sort of abbreviation to your name. So Tadio, thank you so much for being on. I hope this app kills it. I hope your presentation kills it. And who knows, maybe, we do a follow-up in a year from now, and you let us know how things are going.
Last plug. It's photo-op.io. It's in the beta stage. We're going to be downloading and launching in the first quarter. Give it a whirl, give it a test. And
so can people download it now?
It's we have the web version. The last 250K that we're raising from friends and family ends in a week or two. And then after that, we believe one of the investors in Boston is going to take us out. So the app will be launched, and that'll be fully ready to go. Right now, you can upload some photos and check out the cool AI. If I upload a photo, it gives me 30 tags that it recognizes in the
What's the app
video.
again? What is it?
Photo-op.io.
Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, bud.
You're the best.
Great time.
Take it easy.
All right.